Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have a bunch of updates to share with you about the 2024 election, Trump's DJT stock, the latest desperate move by his allies. So, first, let's talk about Trump's failing social media site. DJT stock hit another new low today. How low can you go? We'll see, right? Apparently, after creeping back up last week to like the $23 range, the shares just dropped off a cliff again today. They hit a new low of $21.66. Now, you guys might recall just last week, back on August 19th, the stock hit a 1-year new low. Then that was $22.18. Then it crept back up, like I said, in the $23 range last week, but it never has gotten anywhere near the 1-year high again, which was almost $80. So that was when the stock went public. And part of the reason why it seems like it's dipping now, or why it has dipped, it appears to be because they registered another $5 million of new stock. So they're planning to now issue $5 million more of new stock. Every time they sell new shares, it dilutes the value of the existing shares that are already out there. Oh well. As always, I will keep an eye on this. I will definitely let you guys know what happens. Hopefully it keeps moving lower. But anyway, next up is more good news. A poll conducted by a conservative group that's called American Greatness, it showed Kamala Harris leading Trump by 2 points in the state of Michigan. So that's within their margin of error. It's 3.7% is their margin of error. But the 538 polling aggregator, they also show Harris leading Trump in Michigan by an average of 3 points. And 538 has now moved several swing states from likely Republican to being a toss-up. So that includes Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. That is all obviously very good news. Here's the best part, though. 538 previously rated Wisconsin and Pennsylvania as toss-ups. They've now moved those to likely Democrat. So likely a Democratic pickup. It's very, close. It's still far too close for comfort. So Harris is still on average up by only 1% in Pennsylvania, 3% in Wisconsin. National polls also have her increasing her lead against Trump. It's still very tight, though. So a national poll conducted by ActiVote, they showed Harris up by 5 points. So that's major. Likewise, Harris increased her lead over Trump in a national poll conducted by a company called Angus Reid Global. They also show her up with a 5-point lead. And as you can see in this graphic here, Harris picked up 3% support since they did this poll back in July. So it was first done July 24th, so right after Biden dropped out. And for those listening on the podcast, she went from 44 to 47% support. Now, Trump, over that same period of time, he stayed the same, 42%. So it definitely seems like Trump has a hard ceiling on his support. He may have hit that hard ceiling. It doesn't seem like he's going to grow his base anymore. Harris, though, it seems like she still has some room to grow. So as I mentioned last week, that could shift, now that Robert Kennedy Jr. has dropped out and he's endorsed Trump. We'll see. Time will tell. Polling will tell. In the meantime, though, another national survey shows Harris with a 7% lead over Trump. This is the biggest lead of any poll that we've seen so far. So this one was conducted by Fairleigh, I think is how you pronounce it, Fairleigh Dickinson University. This was done on August 24th, so this was just 2 days after the Democratic National Convention ended. And what's clear is that Trump, at best, is failing to pick up new support because of his big mouth and his lunacy. Like I said, it just doesn't seem like he can win anybody over at this point. Like everybody knows he's a known quantity at this point. At worst, he's losing some support because The Guardian, they went to one of his rallies. They spoke with Trump supporters at his recent Pennsylvania rally. And some of his supporters are pretty concerned. Some of them are flat out turned off by what they heard. So, one attendee in particular that they spoke with, it's a woman named Jenny. She refused to give her last name, but she told The Guardian, quote, "He reminded me why I'm not going to vote for him this time. I voted for him in 2016 and had a Trump flag in the front yard. I voted for him again in 2020, but didn't put the flag out that time. I've been thinking of voting for him again because Biden's been so bad for the economy and Kamala won't be any better. But after listening to that, I'm actually afraid of Trump being president again." I don't know what he was talking about half the time. Perhaps he was like that, but he seems worse, more unstable. And then another Trump supporter, it was actually a husband and a wife who were there, but the wife spoke with The Guardian. The wife, her name is Joan Long, and she told them, quote, "I honestly can't say I know why he starts talking about how to pronounce names. What does that have to do with the election? And I wish he would stop talking about Kamala's looks." So the Harris team seems to want to capitalize on this. They want to capitalize on his loose lips and his instability. So they've told ABC and any other outlets that, where they're planning to do a debate, they've said, we don't want the same rule that Joe Biden wanted. We do not want the mics muted during the debate. Like when the other person starts speaking or is asked a question, we don't want the mics muted. Again, the mics being muted, that was what Biden's team requested for his debate with Trump. I thought that was a huge mistake, and apparently the Harris team does as well. So a Harris spokesperson told the press, quote, "Our understanding is that Trump's handlers prefer the muted microphone because they don't think their candidate can act presidential for 90 minutes on his own." And it's very true. Some of them have said, no, we don't want to change the rules. We want to keep it like it was. Now, Trump told a reporter, I don't care either way. He said, I'd probably prefer to have the mic on. Well, even the vile bigot commentator Ann Coulter had a meltdown over this. She knows that he is beyond help, beyond, any kind of normalcy, and he's going to destroy his chances with his mouth. So she just went over the edge. She went on Twitter and she warned Trump, quote, "Attention, Donald Trump," all caps, by the way. "The Harris campaign is demanding a rule change of not muting mics at the debates. Why? They're betting you won't shut the fuck up and will lose the debate as you did with Biden. 1, don't agree to the rule change. 2, learn to shut the fuck up." Now, Twitter MAGA people had a meltdown about her and said, oh, you think that Joe Biden won the debate? I don't think she means this debate, the most recent debate in this election cycle. I think she means in 2020, because yes, the mics were not muted. And Biden just got railroaded. I mean, which you would think, oh, that's bad. But Trump just went off and wouldn't stop talking and made a complete jackass out of himself and showed himself to be the bully that he is. So, yeah, he ruined his chances with that. So anyway, the MAGAverse recognizes, or at least the smarter ones, that Trump is a problem. He is the problem, right? Even uber conservative National Review editor Mark Wright, he published an article last week and he said, quote, "When the public was faced with the choice between the Democrats' unpopular, probably senile octogenarian Joe Biden and the Republicans' unpopular, definitely nuts septuagenarian Donald Trump, it seemed like the American people would reluctantly go with Trump. But at the same time, American voters for 2 years running had loudly and repeatedly told both parties, pollsters, and anyone who would listen that they preferred a different set of choices. The dominant emotion that most Americans felt about the coming election was dread. And then, in a remarkable turn of events, the Democratic Party gave Americans another option, Kamala Harris. Wright went on to say, quote, Trump isn't losing because Kamala Harris is being hyped by the press or fluffed up to kingdom come. He isn't losing because the press is being unfair to him. He's losing because he's a weak, unpopular, undisciplined candidate running at the head of a weak minority electoral coalition. That's the truth, whether anyone wants to hear it or not. So he just got brutal. So likewise, conservative Thomas Sowell, he published an op-ed in Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, which tells you a lot. And it says in part, quote, if the Republicans lose this year's election against an administration whose policies have been rejected by the public in poll after poll, they will deserve to lose. And then he slammed Republicans for downplaying Harris' support, saying, you guys can minimize it all you want, but it's real. It's real, Marianne. Anyway, so what are Trump's allies doing? What are they going to do to help? Well, I told you guys last week and the week before, I think, because it's been going on, but the Trump humpers in Congress announced that they're investigating Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That's their answer. Let's start investigations that have no basis in reality, but, let's get it in the press. Well, now there's a Republican group that's starting this legal challenge against Harris. They claim that Harris is ineligible to be president because her parents weren't U.S. citizens when she was born. So it's an argument that isn't going to go anywhere, but, it just shows their level of desperation. And it's just hashtag sad in all caps. Oh, well. And I don't want us to get complacent. I don't want us to think like, oh, this is in the bag. It's a done deal. I mean, like I said, it's a very close race. As I mentioned last week, Democrats have to be winning the national popular vote somewhere around 5 to 6% because of that ridiculous electoral college system that we have. So we'll see. I will keep you posted, but definitely moving in the right direction. We just got to hold on to this momentum. So, all right, guys, I'll let you know when I hear more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Links are below in the description box on YouTube and the podcast. Love you guys. Take care. Talk with you soon.